Welcome in to another episode of Out of Touch. John Alden, Dustin Schutte, and Mitchell Page with you as always on this lovely November morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're listening to this. You may not even be listening to this in the month of November if you're retroactively checking out of Touch. You never know. But it is November 8th, the day after Election Day, if that is something that interests you. I hate politics. I feel like I used to love politics, and actually love is a very strong and aggressive word. I got into politics at a very weird time during COVID because I felt like it was the only thing going on at the time because sports were canceled and that kind of thing. And so the only thing you could really pay attention to that was, I guess, on social media or in the news was politics. And by the way, this isn't where we're taking the whole show. We're not going to talk about that the whole time. It's just the first thing that came out of my ridiculous mouth because I mentioned that yesterday was Election Day. So welcome in Out of Touch. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube. We're trying to get to 100 subscribers before the end of the year. And if we do that, we will be doing a live stream for our first episode of 2024. We're halfway there. I think we have about 52 subscribers right now.
Ooh, so not to brag.
Feeling pretty good about it. Shout out to everybody who's already subscribed to the channel. So
are you guys all subscribed? Are you both subscribed?
I don't think I can subscribe to myself because it's
yeah, I guess that's true. Well, should I start making ghost YouTube accounts?
I guess if you want to.
I feel like I should.
I'm not against it.
I get accused a lot on Twitter of having burner accounts. So I'm thinking maybe
I
should
a lot
have
of people
YouTube
who
accounts.
have influence, especially in sports, and basically if you were a former name of any sort in anything, I don't know if I described that very well, but like people who have a voice, a lot of people think they have burner accounts.
Kevin Durant ruined it for everybody.
Yeah. I posted some specifically last week when I posted a pretty controversial tweet about Indiana football and them making the right decision at the end of the game. Most people did not agree with that, and I responded to literally everyone. I got absolutely ratioed. There was like 150 comments on this tweet, and I responded to every single one of them. And pretty much all of the threads, someone was accusing me of having a burner account. I don't need it. I just say exactly what I'm thinking with my own account.
Yeah, what would you even say on a burner account? If you had one, what would you use it for?
Well, I mean, I could say a lot more outrageous stuff probably about the football team because I think we've talked about it a little bit. I try to be, because I love everybody and I love that program. I love the city and I want to be welcome back. I love going to the games and I love being a part of the program. And sometimes they do some things that are pretty frustrating, but I typically just say it on my main account. So I don't.
Yeah, you're not afraid to be yourself, I feel like.
No, these are big boys. They can handle it.
Do you ever want to just go, because I feel like this doesn't happen a lot, but I feel like there's going to be an urge. Do you ever get the urge to just be like, yeah, I played. I know more about what I'm talking about than you do?
Yeah, that's a constant urge. I try to not do it. I was actually talking to my dad about, I was telling him, because this tweet was, I've maybe had more fun that day on Twitter than maybe ever in the history of me on the internet. So I was talking to my dad about it, and I told him to go read all the comments because mostly people were being hilarious. There was a lot of like subtle jabs at things that I'm typically pretty confident about, which is my favorite kind of humor. That's like making fun of the 6'6" guy that was your college roommate that dominates the intramural league. Like he should be on the real team, but he's so tall, you make fun of him for not playing. So there were some people being funny, and he made a pretty good point that I try to stay away from, like, trust me, I've been in the meeting rooms, I've been on the field, you haven't. Because I mean, it just comes off so bad when people do that. it makes you look really pretentious and kind of it's a really bad look. So I try to stay in the mud with everybody. I'm not trying to put myself above anyone. I'm in the mud, baby. That's where I like to be. And IU football Twitter, I've said it for a long time. There aren't, like, when you talk in terms of pure numbers, Indiana football fans versus Ohio State football fans, there's tens of thousands more Ohio State football fans. But the guys and girls that are diehard football fans of Indiana, they're about as passionate as any fan base that you're going to come across because they know misery.
Yeah.
And they've stayed with it. So anytime I can get into the weeds with the true Hoosier fans, I love doing that. That's a good place for me to live. So back to the burner. I want them to know that I'm in the weeds with them. I go through it every day just like they do.
By the way, shout out to Mitchell's new microphone that leaves Dustin as the only microphoneless contributor, which he will eventually join us. He has a good one that he is just waiting on a new computer to be able to use.
One of these times I'll be a professional and actually join you guys and do this professionally like we're supposed to do and not on my phone because my other computer broke.
Yeah,
because that's exactly what we are. We are professional human beings. We don't do any nonsense, and we hold ourselves to a high standard.
We have correct. 52 people counting on us, Dustin.
That's right. All 52 and counting.
They're counting on us.
It's a lot of. Well, you guys are living up to the hype. I'm not. You guys are doing great. I'm the only disappointment in this room.
No, never. But once you get a computer and a microphone and lights, I think you should get some like cool lights in the background too. I was thinking about doing that for today. I've got this. You ever see those lights that like make it look like, I don't know, like you're in outer space or something? They've got the white lights and greens and blues and reds, and it rotates, and it's like a little thing on the ground, and it projects it onto the ceiling.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about, but I don't know what it's called.
I don't know what it's called either, but I have one of those, and it's awesome. Whenever I'm playing video games at like 2 a.m, because I'm 30, and that's what 30-year-olds do. I think.
Do you stream on Twitch, Mitchell? I bet you have so instead of having a burner account, it wouldn't surprise me if you have your own alias where you stream on Twitch. That's not anything to do with who you are as your own human self.
Yeah, I would love to stream on Twitch. I think that I would have a blast. I don't think anyone would watch, and I wouldn't care. I think it would just be fun. I play video games. I yell at the screen. I get mad, and I play all kinds of different stuff. And I'm like pretty passionate about video games. I play all different kinds of things. That's a weird thing to say, but ever since I was young, N64 on up. I mean, it's always been a big part of the way I like to spend my time, and everybody's got a different way to decompress. Mine has been video games. For sometimes I should say it's been reading, but that comes and goes. Video games stayed forever.
No, I'm with you. I'm not a huge reader. I read like, I guess for entertainment purposes, like just comedic pieces and stuff like that when people try to write for humor. But with video games, I think I've mentioned this before. Maybe I haven't, but I play a lot of stuff on my phone that I attach to my TV using things called an emulator. I feel like we're doing an instructional video right now.
Oh yeah, that's how I used to play Pokemon.
Stuff. I have a Bluetooth controller, and it's as if I have like a console hooked up to my TV. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you know the Jack and Daxter games, Mitchell, or maybe Justin, you know them too. I'm going through the original Jack and Daxter. I've never played it before, so.
Oh, I love it. We used to
video games right now.
In high school, when I was definitely supposed to be listening, we all got Macs. And this sounds so bad. What I'm about to say, this is very private school, and I'm going to get some judgment. And that's okay. I'm out in front of it.
Bring it on. We're out of touch. We do. Yeah. We say what's on our minds.
Yeah. In high school, everybody had laptops. And so I had a MacBook Pro for no reason, except I had enough storage I had all these Pokemon games, and all these different games were on an external hard drive, and you just load it right into the Mac, and they would all come up through an emulator. So I'd be in environmental science or whatever I was doing, thinking about the football game later, and playing Pokemon Fire Red, trying to get the Charizard.
Heck yeah.
Do you know how annoying this is to me for this reason? When did you graduate high school?
2012.
Okay, so my first writing job was at a newspaper in Logansport. In
boy.
2000, I graduated 2010, but I don't know if I got that job till 2011. Doesn't matter. You were still in high school and had your own MacBook Pro. Do you remember the old Apple computers that were like the see-through with the colors?
Oh yeah, the Zoolander. The files are in the
Yes.
computer.
Yes, those old ass computers they had to be 25 years old that was my, maybe at that time I guess maybe 15 to 20. Either way, that was my first computer in a job in a writing position. And I had to go in and like physically manually save it every 30 seconds because you didn't know when it was going to crash. So I could type like 6 words and then I'd have to go up, scroll my mouse up to the top left corner, click save, and then scroll back down and do my next 4 or 5 words. So the fact that you in high school had a MacBook Pro and I was on this shitty 1997 Apple see-through color computer monitor that was slower than molasses. Just a little frustrating.
I was going to say, Dustin, let me tell you, it was fast. It was good. Everything I needed to do. I could make movies, songs, all of it. And it just, snap of a finger, it was there.
Dustin,
I mean,
you ever do
I
any
could.
gaming?
No, I was going to say that I don't even have a game on my phone, I don't think. I think I do crossword puzzles on my phone.
You never owned a console as a kid, though. Surely you had.
I did. So growing up, I had a PS2 and then an Xbox 360. We also had a Nintendo 64. But I stopped playing video games probably 8 to 10 years ago. I'm not good at them. I don't have a lot of interest. When I do play, I just get angry. So I didn't want to break anything.
Honestly,
So
I stopped
playing.
You're not playing either competitively or what's my point here? If you're playing competitively, or if you like to play, I guess, single player things, depending on what it is, you have to sometimes set aside a lot of time, not only to get good at it, but to complete whatever it is you may be trying to finish. Mm-hmm. Some games nowadays, and I haven't played a new game in a very long time, but some of these games that come out nowadays can take 100 to 2 hours to finish, which I don't get how any adult human being, unless you're like a Twitch streamer who does it professionally, has the time to do that anymore. You know what I mean?
Well, I get that. So the time consumption isn't a big deal to me. Like, I get what Mitchell said is true. Like, we all have different releases. Like, I'll read, but my big thing is like I'll go and I'll watch classic movies, and I can watch 3 or 4 of them that I haven't seen. So the time commitment isn't a thing for me. It's just I got to a point where I just lost interest in playing anymore.
Yeah.
And then, so much of my time got consumed doing other things and other interests, hiking, reading. So it's just I don't have anything against it. I used to play video games all the time.
He became an adult, Mitchell. He became an adult before.
That's what I'm.
I don't know.
That's what
I don't know if that's true at all.
I did stuff like grow hair on my chest, and meanwhile, I still have Cheetos remnants on my fingers while I'm playing video games.
Are you drinking Mountain Dew Code Red?
I wish if they had it. Now it's this is embarrassing, but sometimes on weekends I've got a group text. Pretty embarrassing name. I didn't name it, but it's like Gamers for Life, and there's like 5 of us in there. And I did not name it. I was invited to it. Pretty embarrassing, but I haven't said let's change the name because I agree with it. But we'll be texting on Friday when we're supposed to be working, like games tonight, and I'll know that it's time to mix up the pre-workout, and it's going to be a long one. Absolutely.
You know what's interesting is the crossover between athletes and gamers, which I feel like back in the day, or at least whenever you're in school, a lot of both of those things typically get separated. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's just the fact that people grow up and get more mature, but maybe it was just that the athletes were always playing the games, but they kept it to themselves because it was considered a nerdy type of thing to do whenever you were a kid. I don't know.
Oh, I disagree with that.
Maybe I'm wrong. It depends on what kind of school or environment you grow up in, I
Yeah.
guess too.
So I was going to say, like, for us growing up, there was really no separation. Like, I feel like everybody played video games. The difference was like the people that I hung out with for the most part, we played a lot of sports video games.
Yeah.
Yes.
At least that I remember, like a lot of Madden, a lot of college football, FIFA, yeah, all that. ML, no, it wasn't the show back then. Whatever the MLB game was, we played a lot of that stuff. And then the other groups would play like, I don't even know if Call of Duty was a thing, but those type of games. So that was where like there was a distinction, I would say. But I'm sure we played some of those games. But you know what was awesome? Like if I could go back in time, when we were like when I was in elementary school, because I'm older than you guys by a substantial margin.
Yeah, we weren't born yet, but
not substantial. There's a gap. There's like a 5-year gap between me and Mitchell, and a 5-year gap between Mitchell and Dustin.
That's 10 years between me and you, John. So that would be
well, between you and I. There's a gap, but there's a connection that brings us full.
You're in elementary school. John wasn't even a thought yet.
Back when I was playing the Atari.
Yeah.
Atari.
You were running down the street with
back
your
when I was riding my dinosaur.
Yeah,
I was playing
wooden wheel. You're hitting that little thing.
Exactly. Yeah, I had that ping pong ball that was attached to a wooden stick that you just bat back and forth.
You were sick at it though.
We had like N64 007 GoldenEye.
So good.
Best game ever. We played that, and we would play that for, like days at a time. It was awesome. The best game ever.
Yeah. I was, this is funny, and my mom will think this is funny. I would always rig the games. Like, I was win at all costs. This goes video games, backyard football, whatever it was. I would always change the rules to make sure that I won. So I would always get the golden gun in GoldenEye, and they would get another gun.
One shot.
One shot kill for me, and they had to shoot me 7 times or something. It just wasn't fair. And I'm like, well, get better. Like, it just wasn't fair at all. And sometimes I think this is how I really first got into video games. It was because I was watching sports. It was the NCAA games, and grew up a big Miami Hurricanes fan. Live, breathe, die by the Hurricanes, especially still do to this day, but especially when I'm like an 8, 9, 10-year-old. And this is when Miami, the greatest teams. I was born in 93. So when I was 8 was the 2001, 2002 Miami Hurricanes that had 17 first-round draft picks, won the national championship against Nebraska. Like, this is the best team ever assembled. So I watched a lot of wins. So when we would lose, I can specifically remember they got beat by Florida in like 2004, maybe. So I went up after the game. It was a 3:30 kick, and turned the sliders all the way up for me, all the way down for them. And I found out how many points you can score in NCAA football because I beat them 255-0.
Oh my gosh.
It was the Hurricanes versus the Gators, and it was toss, sweep, right every time. And whoever it was, there was probably Willis McGahee or something, would just beat everybody to the sideline and run for a touchdown on every play. It was awesome.
You surpassed the actual record for biggest blowout in college football.
222. Yeah,
222 to nothing.
255, and I scored that in like the third quarter, and I didn't stop. The real score was probably 400-0. It just stopped going up after 255.
Wow.
The funniest part about that, Mitchell, is I had an exact same experience. I didn't do quite that. I think I set it up to like the hardest difficulty. I was like in junior high, and I think it was definitely Notre Dame. Notre Dame had beaten Purdue. And the reason I remember this is because my dad doesn't usually like laugh very hard, but he laughed hard when I said this because I was legitimately, a 7th grader who was pissed off at the world after this game. Notre Dame beat Purdue, and I remember just like storming upstairs, like, I'm going to go kick their ass in NCAA football. And so that's what I did the rest of the night.
Yeah,
Was just devoted myself to that game, and I didn't rack up 255 points, but it was like, I won by like 21 points, so I felt satisfied with myself.
Yeah. I took everything to the nth degree. My dad came up and it was 255-0, and I was running down the sideline. He's like, are you having fun? Like, is this fun to you? And I didn't even look at him, didn't even smile. Yes.
That's hilarious. The one thing that comes to mind when it comes to, I don't know if it was NCAA football or Madden, but one of my cousins and I, it was either on Thanksgiving or Christmas, we'd have an annual game between us and Madden or NCAA, and I always won because I was good.
I love it.
Nothing much to it other than that. But that's just what I remember when it comes to playing those games and stuff like that. I also used to really enjoy doing I don't know if it wasn't the road to glory, but I used to love taking doing your own dynasty in NCAA football.
Oh yeah.
And taking a team like Utah State to the national championship or something like that. Someone obscure like that.
Yeah, I would just use Miami and win the national championship every year.
Just cheat.
Like 10 years in a row.
You know what? I think a lot of people probably used to do this, but when I was in college, I would come home. I was having a tough year one year, so I came home a lot one year. And on the college football Saturdays, we would bring my brother and I, he was still in high school at the time, we'd bring the TV from upstairs, downstairs, hook up the Xbox downstairs and play college football, NCAA football the entire day. And we'd have college football going on the other TV the entire day. And we'd order 40 wings from B-Dubs and just, the good stuff.
Way to do it.
The good, back before I was a grown-up.
Yeah, before you started going on hikes, nerd.
Yeah, going hiking and I don't know.
One of these days,
It's a Wonderful Life or something like that.
That's a good movie.
I know you like it. That's why I said it.
One of these days, I'm going to get attacked by a bear, and you're going to be like, if you would just play video games like the rest of us, you wouldn't put yourself in danger like that.
100%. If you were just,
I feel like I would enjoy hiking.
In Rocket League. That's all you need. You play Rocket League? Anybody? You ever heard of that?
I don't play regularly, but whenever I was living at home, my brother was really into it, and we used to play each other in Rocket League. I wasn't very good at it though.
Rocket League, FIFA. Have you played? Were you ever a Fortnite guy?
I was a big Fortnite guy. I wasn't tournament caliber good.
Yeah.
I got pretty decent at it when I was during my last couple semesters in college. Is whenever I was pretty good at that.
Yeah, they came out. I was never really a Fortnite guy either, but that's what I've been playing recently. They came out with the original map and all the original.
I saw
settings.
that. Maybe I need to dive back in because that's where my roots are at with that one.
Yeah, I've been trying to. I've played everything on controller, and then we can get off the topic. But I don't have a console anymore because I just use my laptop, and I've been trying to do the mouse and keyboard aiming and movement. Have you ever tried this?
I know what you're talking about, but I've always thought it's way too difficult for me.
Yeah, it is. I get absolutely annihilated by these 7-year-olds that are jumping around.
By 7 or 8-year-olds who are
and they're
just in their room for 16 hours a day.
Yes. So that's been my last week and a half. Well, Fortnite.
There you go. We've learned something about, I guess, all of us in regards to video games. It's nice knowing that Mitchell and I will probably have more video game conversations. Maybe not all of them will be on this podcast because maybe that'll be a little much. But I dabble a little more than some might think. It's like you said. I don't want to say it's a release, but it's when I'm not watching football or just enjoying a show or something like that. My next thing is playing video games that I like to do. Or listening to music. I think I mentioned before, too, that I like to once a week, I listen to an album all the way through. And that's something that I've been doing for a while now and I've enjoyed doing. And it's, I recommend, I think I talked about it on the very first episode because we talked about the carpet.
Yep.
Or something like that, right?
And do you listen? You don't listen to it on a record player, do you?
No, I'm not that cool. Maybe someday, but
I don't know. Is there any difference between record player
People
audio?
say the sound quality is better on the record players and stuff like that, but I just like having it directly. I like ruining my hearing, as they say. I like having it playing directly in my ears through the earbuds. So,
I think it's more, I don't know. So I had a record player. I'm going to get another one. But to me, it sounds, I don't know how to describe it. I don't know that the quality is as good. It's not as crisp, but there's that humming sound
sizzle,
of
a crackling.
Yes,
it
is very relaxing. Now, for example, I have Foo Fighters on vinyl. That's not relaxing because it's rock. But if you have Frank Sinatra or Louis Armstrong or something like that on, it's very soothing and very relaxing. So it probably depends on what you're listening to as to whether or not a record player. But I have a lot of the old classic stuff that I'll put on, and it's just very soothing.
Have you broken out the Christmas jazz yet?
Yes. On Pandora, I have.
Okay.
Yeah. I like I don't do it very often or as often as I should, but I've got the little Google Homes all around our house, and they're all set up
Yeah.
to like house speakers, so they all play at the same time.
That's pretty
Um,
cool.
yeah, and sometimes I'll just put on like classical hits and put it pretty low, but it's hard to beat a Sunday afternoon with classical music playing. We've got the door open with the little bug nest because it's required down
Oh,
here.
yeah.
But it's like 65, 70 degrees, and it's hard to beat that. So I get you on the music. But I don't really have that many hobbies. Like
We're just boring people,
I
right?
used to have all these things that I would do, go play basketball, go practice football, whatever. And it was all sports related. But now I was talking to my wife and like I don't need very much. I need video
Yep.
games, Laura, and golf. And that's pretty
Just
much it.
simple.
Yeah.
I think so. I used to be big, and I would like your opinion on this because I kind of thought about it. I don't know, a couple weeks ago, maybe longer than that. But I don't do much outside of like playing golf, and I'm not very competitive when I play golf because I know I'm not very good. I did shoot a 91 the other day, so that was good fun.
Come on. That's
Was fired
awesome.
up about that. I was hitting it straight. Not always very long, but I was hitting it straight. I need to work on my putting, but other than that, but like, so I'm a big basketball guy. I would love to get into like a rec league basketball, but I'm also having played a college sport, and you are competitive every single day, not just when you're on the court, but like in the weight room and when you're doing sprints and all that stuff. Like, there's a part of me that like the competitive juices are just I don't want to deal with it anymore. Like, do you have that? Do you find yourself in that same problem? Like, if I could go and play 3-on-3, yeah, I'd try to win and be competitive. But in previous leagues that I've been in, people are like, it's their life, and I just like that's fine if that's for them. It's just for me, I can't dial that up anymore.
It's not worth getting hurt. People that play like that get hurt. And I can't imagine. I would feel so silly if I was playing 3-on-3 and I go to shoot a pull up and the guy cuts my legs out and I break my arm.
Right,
Like
right.
I
That's what
would
I'm
be
afraid of. With
furious.
and like for me, it seems like basketball is worse than any other sport,
Oh,
and I don't know why that is.
yes.
Okay,
The
so I'm
last
not
time I
alone.
played, and it wasn't competitive per se, but the last time I played in a league basketball game, I guess it was last summer, and it was the only one I played, and I was filling in for somebody who they just needed they need some bodies, some warm
What's your
bodies.
game like, John? What kind of game you got?
I'm bad. I'll just say that, and I'm also not athletic anymore.
Can you play
So
defense?
anyway,
Like, are
in
you a
this game that
scrapper?
I do what?
Are you a scrapper? Are you like rebound, hustle?
I
What's your
used
game?
to. So whenever I was in middle school and high school, and again, I was always short and not very like muscular, so I wasn't ever really good or anything like that. But I was always, anytime I was decent, I was good at playing defense and getting steals. That was my calling card. Can't do that anymore, obviously. But last time I played a league game of basketball, I had to keep myself from throwing up afterward. It was like church league. I went out into the parking lot afterward, and I can't even remember. It was the middle of summer, and I'm just pacing back and forth trying not to puke. And thankfully, I didn't. One thing I want to share, I need to stop saying this, but I'm going to say it again. I don't know if I've shared this before, but I have a fear of vomiting. I haven't thrown up since 2014 because I go and again, I remember that because it's an irrational fear. And I don't know if it's just the fact that I know it's a painful thing going through it. Like you feel like you lose all control of your bodily fluids. But anytime I feel like I'm sick to my stomach and I may go through, I don't know, the process leading up to it, I go through all of the, I don't know, things necessary to potentially stop it. I chew gum. I take, the stomach medicine, whatever it may be, Tums, those little chewable things. and even the little the pill that can go along with it. I don't want to say deathly afraid because I know it'll eventually happen again. Just, I'll eventually get sick enough to where I can't take it, I guess, but I am afraid of puking, and that's a weird thing to. I know I'm not the only one, but I do think it's a weird thing to be afraid of.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Semi-Pro?
I was just thinking this exact same thing. Jackie Moon.
I've seen Semi-Pro.
He's the player owner
coach. It's a hilarious movie.
Yeah. Will Ferrell's the player owner coach of the Flint Tropics, and they trade Ed Monix for the washing machine, and Monix makes them run the offense until everybody throws up. And Jackie Moon, Will Ferrell's character, has never thrown up. He says it's impossible. And the scene of him in the dim gym. Yeah, it's a dim gym. Monix is chasing him around. You throw up, Jackie Moon, you better. And he it's a very, very funny scene. But
I'm sure it is.
I do have to disagree. Pulling the trigger is one of the easy, most freeing.
I've heard that too.
Oh yeah. In college especially, we're running, lifting, whatever it is, and it just comes over you. Pull the trigger. It's like a second wind.
Mm-hmm.
I love seeing that video of when Tennessee was playing Alabama last year.
Bananas video.
And the Tennessee offensive lineman looks the Alabama player right in the eye and just vomits to intimidate him. Just
that's a wild move. Yeah, that's a little different than what I'm talking about.
No, that may be the most badass thing you could do as an athlete is puke in front of someone as an intimidation.
I'm surprised in college if you never did chork and rally.
So I'm not. I think I've said before, I'm not a big drinker. I'll drink socially. I'll have a couple of beers and/or seltzers, but I've never had more than. Yeah, I drink seltzers. Okay,
seltzers
laugh at it, whatever you want. Seltzers are good. I like White Claws.
It's just.
Yeah, that was always going to get judged by Dustin. But I'm in your corner on this one.
Dustin's like, I sit here and I'm drinking my. I don't even know what. Go ahead.
Time out. Here's the thing. It's just I don't judge you because I'm at the age where you do what you want. You do what tastes or you drink or eat what tastes good. I have no problem. But the mental image and the word seltzer is just a funny word for whatever reason. When you say, I'm going to sit back and enjoy a couple seltzers, it just doesn't sound, I don't know what it is. Just
you want me to translate this for you, John? I'm judging you. That's what he's saying. That's the translation for you for all the native
I'm not
English
judging
speakers.
You. Do you know how many people drink seltzers? A lot. I'm in the minority here, I think. I just don't like them. It just is a weird word to me.
That's fair.
I'm forcing myself to watch the Semi-Pro
here's the thing, John.
Scene right now.
That's a good idea.
I'm not putting it on the stream because I don't get copyrighted, but I feel like I need to therapize myself before I obsess over it later. And right now, Jackie Moon's crawling on the basketball floor.
Back it up. I'm off. I'm not on your team anymore. That was not a word.
I'm a cider guy.
Therapize?
Therapize. That's made up.
Pretty sure it's a real word.
Okay. How much money you got? That's getting looked up right now. Therapize?
Therapize.
This is terrible.
Subject to psychological therapy. You don't need to therapize or fix each other. That's a real word.
Wow.
That is.
And I'm a writer for a living.
Yeah. That's a dumb word.
So Will Ferrell doesn't actually throw up in this scene.
Yeah, he does. It's just off camera.
That's stupid. I guess, I don't know. Not that I wanted to see it. I just thought I was going to see it.
Feels like you wanted to see it.
Myself. Well, because I didn't, again, it was more like forced therapy.
Feels like you wanted to see it.
I got to say this. I'm not afraid of necessarily other people vomiting and stuff like that. Because, I've had to, soothe my wife when she's been sick and that kind of thing. I've dealt with other people throwing up around me. I just don't like the thought of me doing it.
I would weigh 365 days out of 365 days, I'm taking me puking over having to see or be around. It's hard for, that scene in The Office where it's if she pukes, I'm gonna puke. That's
Oh yeah.
that's me.
Last
Like,
puking story, and we'll move forward because I'm sure I don't want to make everybody grossed out.
Yeah,
and then
this
wanna
is
turn
this is a
off.
lot of.
It's a lot. But I do have one more story, and it just fascinated me when this happened to me. So in college, I had a dream, and just the short version of it, and really all that I still remember of it. Everybody that was in the dream that I was having started puking. And, that's all that really needs to be shared. I wake up, it's early in the morning, I go use the bathroom. Somebody runs into the bathroom. This is probably like 4 or 5 in the morning, and gets in the stall next to me and just upchucks. And I just had this dream about people puking. So I don't know.
That's a weird dream. That's probably means something.
It felt like it was a
Foreshadowing.
premonition. Because I remember sitting there, I was like, I just had a dream about, not this specifically, but about the act, I guess. So, all right. I'm putting a close on the throw up talk, and I know it's my fault because I brought it up, but
yeah, I appreciate it.
It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I bought Creed tickets. Creed's doing their reunion tour. I think I remember talking about that early on in the podcast. They were doing the they had at the point just announced the Creed cruise. That's not what I'm going on. They just announced tour dates with Three Doors Down and Finger 11 and a bunch of other bands, depending on what show you're going to. And me and the wife and a buddy of mine are going to see Scott Stapp and the gang. And I'm curious, did you all big Creed? I'm sure you're not Creed fans, but I feel like most people either like Creed or they think they suck, kind of like Nickelback.
I couldn't name you one Creed
I
song.
forgot. Mitchell listens to Lil Wayne. He's a Lil Wayne guy, or he's a rapper guy.
And Justin
I just
Bieber.
said Lil Wayne.
There we go.
Dustin, yeah. Dustin
Simple-
Bieber and
Simple taste.
Mitchell Wayne. Yeah, so cool. I'm going to see Creed, and I guess nobody cares, but
You're gonna rock there, though, dude. You're gonna absolutely.
I am.
Get your
Okay,
rock on.
what other songs do they have? They have Arms Wide Open and 6 Feet Down, 6 Feet Gone, whatever that song is, right?
I don't know what the second one you're talking about is.
You're not a big fan. It
That's
sounds
got
like.
that's
I don't
gotta
know.
be a
I mean,
song.
maybe that's a lyric in a song, but that's not a title that I'm aware of.
You don't know.
6 Feet Down.
Hold on. I'm
Are you
looking this
thinking
up
of
right now if I can.
Higher? So like the big Creed hits that everybody.
Oh, wait. It's called One Last Breath.
One Last Breath. Okay.
6 Feet from the Edge.
Okay.
That's their number
funny.
one played song. 250 million plays on that song.
And that's
So
not even
people
one of my
like them.
favorite ones. It's a good song, but I like My Own Prison's probably my favorite one. That's an OG Creed song from there.
That's their 5th most popular on Spotify.
Cool.
What's their number one? 6 Feet
Was it-
or what?
was it
What's
One
it
Last
called?
Breath?
One Last Breath is number one.
I'm really
on there.
surprised it's not Higher or
Higher's number
My
2.
Sacrifice.
That's number 3.
I bet number 4. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and 5. I bet number 4 is With Arms Wide Open, which is what he said earlier.
You nailed it. That's the top 5.
There you go.
I know more Creed songs than I thought. I knew that entire top 5.
I only know Can You Take Me Higher and Arms Wide Open.
And I don't know if you've noticed, but during the Rangers' run to the World Series, and Dustin, you're a big baseball guy, so maybe you saw this, but the whole Rangers team was using that song anytime they would hit a dinger. That
Which
was
one?
Kind of Higher. I guess I didn't specify.
Okay.
I guess Dustin, when did your Braves get knocked out? Is that when you stopped paying attention? I guess.
No, not really. They got knocked out in the NLDS in 4 games, and then I watched most of it. But those first 2 or 3 games were when I was in Nebraska, so traveling. So we were at the game. We went to a Halloween party, and then we were traveling back home. So I missed the first 2. I think I watched just 1 World Series game, but I was watching baseball up to that point.
So there you go.
There
Dustin's
you go.
World Series journey. Okay. One other thing I want to get into. So I saw this movie scene come up on I don't know if it was Twitter or Facebook or what social media thing I saw it on, but it was a scene that And it's from like I don't know if you want to call it a kids movie. It's more like a family movie, but it was from the movie Stuart Little, and it was the scene where Stuart Little, the mouse, he's like trapped in the washing machine, and I remember sitting there and I was like rewatching it, and I was like, this scene used to terrify me as a kid, but rewatching it, I couldn't remember why it freaked me out. I don't know if it's because I thought he was going to die, or if I just because he was trapped. But it made me wonder. I'm like, I feel like everybody has certain things, whether it be, scenes in movies, like especially things that maybe aren't meant to really be that scary, that are actually terrifying to somebody who's maybe 4 or 5 years old. And I'm curious if either of you can bring any of those to mind.
Ooh, yeah. Maybe not something like that, but did you guys ever see the movie It when you were young?
So whenever I was a kid, I guess I wasn't allowed to watch it, but I knew what it was, like, It the Clown and that kind of stuff.
We watched it at my grandma's house. This is a lot of shout outs to the Page family. Well, Wilson family in this. She doesn't, this is going to shock her that this was being played by her grandchildren when I was like 7 in her back room by the pool. We watched, all 5 of us watched the movie It. And it was scary. I didn't take a shower for a month. I think I've talked to you about that. The clown lives in the sewer. So, yeah. And that's pretty gross when you're a guy that's playing like 45 sports and you're scared to shower.
Yeah.
Pretty gross.
So did you ever watch The Shining then?
Not till later.
Okay.
But
so
it is a movie that scares
effect
me.
on you.
Yeah.
But I always loved the, I guess it's because I've never seen It, either of the iterations of it all the way through, but I've obviously seen the iconic, sewer scene, and I always thought the accent that they use for the "Hey Georgie" was hilarious. So
which one? The new one?
Both of them.
The new guy doctors it up pretty good.
A lot. Yeah.
Yeah. The original guy, was realistic enough that he might actually be in the sewers. This other guy is a little more monstery, and obviously the original It becomes a semi-monster, but he looked like a normal dude in a clown suit.
Yeah.
And I think that made it way scarier. Except that he lived in the sewer. I guess you got to add in that. I don't know. I guess there are sewer cities in Las Vegas. Have you heard? We talked about these.
We have?
I don't know.
I don't remember this.
Okay, then maybe I was talking to someone else about it. But yeah, there's like, depending on, I swear we talked about this, but if you go to Las Vegas, there's different towns that are in the sewers. They're all people that are homeless and they live in the sewer, and a lot of them obviously have problems with drugs. So depending on your choice, which one you like to dabble in, they've got like different sections. Like, think about New York City, like different boroughs of the sewers. That
sounds like the premise to like a really, maybe it wouldn't be a good movie, but just a movie.
Yeah, it's crazy. So there's a bunch of these people take like serious pride in what their sewer house looks like. They've got like 2-bedroom, and I guess the whole thing's a bathroom because it's a sewer, but like 2-bedroom houses. I don't know if they're for sale, but there's a couple of places where you can look up and see like the Bellagio through the grates in the sewer things, like where It comes out of and talks to Georgie. What are those called? Storm drains. You can look up and see all the like massive hotels and the kind of expensive life right above you, and you're just in the sewers. It's kind of sad and crazy.
Location.
Hey, they get little taste. Probably don't spend they probably don't gamble all their money away, but they probably spend it, if I had to guess.
I like how John's moment came from Stuart Little.
Yeah.
And then we jumped straight to It.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I guess like the point of it was like scenes that weren't necessarily meant to scare you, but were scary anyway.
So yeah, I think I missed that point.
It don't matter. It's fine though. It's still a good story.
It just made me go to It immediately.
Well, I'm with you a little bit, Mitchell, because I'm trying to think of like if there was a scene that wasn't scary that did scare me. I can't think of one, but I remember growing up watching Ghostbusters, which is supposed to be a funny movie, right? Like when you're an adult and you watch it, you go, "Oh, this is a funny movie." But as a kid, everything about that terrified me
Yeah,
because you're not old enough to get the jokes. The
Yes.
ghosts look kind of real when you're a 7 or 8 year old.
Yeah.
So I thought it was like a horror movie. So I don't remember a specific scene that frightened me, but I remember Ghostbusters growing up scared the crap out of me. And then I watched it when I was in high school. I was like, oh, this is actually a really funny movie.
Yeah. Did you guys ever watch the movie Darkness Falls?
Yes. I saw that in theaters.
Another terrifying movie as a 9-year-old, 10-year-old. I watched that one at my buddy's house in the dark. Scariest movie of all time. If you haven't seen it, the premise is there's this tooth fairy that when you lose your tooth, you have to stay asleep because if you look her in the eye, she just kills you, murders you, and chases you for the rest of your life. As soon as you're in darkness, she comes to get you. So you have to have lights on all the time. Anytime.
That's creepy.
Even if you were in the day, if you go in a dark room, she's coming.
Yep.
And yeah, so didn't love that.
Evil Tooth Fairy, huh?
You should watch that one. That's a scare. I would probably still be scared of that. I've never watched. Haven't watched.
That sounds scary.
I would probably still be scared of it to this day.
One more thing to bring this to full circle because we were talking video games earlier. Do you remember in Mario 64? I'm sure I would think both of you had played Mario 64.
Of course.
The first water section of the game where you dive down and there's this eel.
Yes.
As soon as you get close to that eel for the very first time, I think that's the very first time I was ever scared of anything in a video game when that red eel pops its head out. And it's just kind of sitting there back in its little corner and it won't come out unless you get near it. It's freaky.
What?
If you're a kid, obviously.
I mean, what were you doing growing up?
What do you mean? Mitchell was agreeing with
benign,
me.
Scary things for sure.
I was very sheltered, and nothing against my parents were great parents, and I'm not. That's just because I was sheltered at certain things.
I would say they're
bad.
Yeah, you never really got truly like someone's gonna come in here and cut my head off.
I did. Do what?
This is why John got out of his car without any fear in the middle of downtown Louisville.
That's why I'm a naive human being. Just don't.
You haven't seen the movies before, so you're just like whatever.
Yeah, there's
as long as I'm not as long as I'm not near a washing machine, I'm going to be just fine.
Right. I'm doing laundry right now in the back too. Right before we started, I was doing a load of towels, and I had to get away from that washing machine, or else it was going to suck me right in.
I did have a question. Like, wasn't there a video game? Like, was it Resident Evil or something that was like it was supposed to be a scary video game?
There was plenty of the survival horror games. Yeah.
Yes. Did you ever play the game Left 4 Dead? Remember that game?
I've never played Left 4 Dead, but I've heard of it.
Left 4 Dead used to be a game that was like the first game that I can remember that was truly co-op with your buddies. You could have 4 people log into the same lobby, and you had to basically escape the zombie apocalypse or whatever.
That's why they call it Left 4 Dead with the number 4.
With the number 4, yeah. You had four buddies, and they all were their own unique character. Like one guy had more health, he was stronger, but he was slower. Then there's the nimble person. Yeah, that's the first game that I remember that we would talk about at school. Like, hey, are you going to be this person tonight? Are you going to be on? What time are you on? And that's how we would fire it up.
That's cool.
Yeah. And I only had like 3 friends, so if somebody was out, we were screwed.
That's right. It was Left 3 Dead, and it made no sense.
Right.
Most recent survival horror game I played was Blue Stinger. Did you ever play Blue Stinger on the Dreamcast?
I don't. You are not playing current games.
Yeah.
Did you just say it's on the
very old? Dreamcast, I mean, it's not Atari old, but I mean, it's like 2000, 1999.
I'm pretty sure they came out around the same time.
Not as the Atari. Atari's like 1980s, right?
Yeah, and then Dreamcast is like 1988.
No, Dreamcast came out in 99. I can promise you that. You can look that up right now if you want to.
Oh, maybe I just didn't. When did the N64 come out?
Same time frame. I don't remember exactly what
Who
year.
made the Dreamcast? Sega.
Sega.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
they had this game called Blue Stinger, and it was meant to be kind of like a Resident Evil clone if you played Resident Evil, and it was kind of fun. But it's the most recent one I did. So
that is just hilarious. That's a 20. I haven't played a game that's older than 3 years in
that's
20 years.
You know what?
I don't
stay
even know
with
what the
time.
newest one I've played is, to be honest. I guess I dabbled a little bit of Breath of the Wild whenever that first came out. That's probably the most recent new
Is it a
thing
hunting
I've
game?
checked out. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. That
Oh, okay.
on the
Yeah,
Switch.
no. I didn't play that. Oh,
Oh, I thought Dustin fell away, but he's back.
he's back.
He's back. My bad.
He's trying to get us to listen to him because he's been trying to say something for 30 seconds.
I'm just out here making a scene.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, you guys can have your video game conversation. I was just chiming in because John apparently played an old game. I looked into like buying an N64 and then Mario Golf, 007, and I can't remember what the other game I was going to get was. But there
Super
was three.
Smash. There's
Super Smash, or maybe a Mario Kart. Mario Kart was
Mario
what I was
Kart.
going to
Did
get.
you ever play Burial Kart?
What?
I did
That was
not
a
play
classic
Mario Kart.
game, Burial Kart. It's hard now because those 3 friends that I had in middle school have like dwindled to like 1.5. So it's a little harder to play now, but you obviously have 4 players and you have to complete the race and try to win. But you have a beer.
I was going to say,
can't
it's
drive.
a drinking game.
Yeah, you can't drive while you're drinking. So you can either drink it all at the beginning and finish the race, or you can drive the whole race, get to the finish line, stop before the finish line, drink it, or you can do it throughout the race, but your wheels cannot be moving. You have to be
That's
firmly in
hilarious.
place.
I like that. I've never heard of that though.
That's a good one.
Yeah, so I've played that a whole bunch. We did that in college. It was a good game. And it makes it a little more fun, and you can play that. I think we were on the GameCube when we'd play that. I don't think we had an N64, but I had like in college, I would just go on eBay and buy old systems. I had like the original Xbox, the GameCube, N64, PS2. I had everything.
And see, that's where I went wrong. If you could like go back in time, I would have never gotten rid of the N64 because now, because of that like nostalgia factor, I think it was going to be like $400 to get all that, the 3 games, the console, and then the controllers. I'm like, I thought I would get it for like $75 because then I would play it.
It's such a collectible thing nowadays.
I know.
I got mine for like $45 and then sold it to GameStop for like $90, which tells me I could have sold it on eBay for $450.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. We're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Real quick, though, obviously, we didn't do calls today. I want to kind of let the call log build up just so we can kind of have more of an inventory to sort through in future episodes. But if you want to leave us a message, the hotline number is 502-830-9195. Excuse me. Really, my voice is about to start cracking or like I'm going to, I don't know, not be able to talk. Anyway, before we wrap this thing up, remember, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify, that kind of thing. What do you say, Mitchell?
We need 100.
We need 100. If you want us to look like fools on a live YouTube stream, which we already do enough of that just recording the show and sending it out to you all the next day. If you want to see a live version of that and get a chance to interact with us, you could post comments while we're talking and we'll interact with you guys. And we'll probably take some calls on that as well, depending on what we end up planning for that. But get us to 100 before the end of the year. Obviously, we're off to a good start. We've still got about almost 2 full months to see if we're gonna hit that, and we'll start planning once we hit that number. So appreciate you guys as always. Fun episode.
Can I interject one thing?
Of course. You want to talk over the music?
I do. This is one thing I want you guys to hold me to. Okay, are you ready? Obviously, we talk some about Indiana football. I mentioned this on the recap pod. If Indiana makes a bowl game, I think you guys should come with me to it. I'm wearing a Speedo and painting my whole body. So I'm putting that on 2 platforms. That's happening. So that's a little extra motivation for the fans in the building. We need you because I really want to do that.
So there you go. We'll talk more about that. Check that podcast out on HoosierIllustrated.com. Called Indiana Football in Review. Check out their YouTube stuff as well. So Until next time, for Mitchell, Dustin, and myself, this has been another episode of Out of Touch.